Right? Yep. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Murrumbidgee Council's December meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody. We would like to pay respect to the traditional custodians of the lands and waters of the Murrumbidgee local government area and to all Aboriginal elders past, present and emerging. We're committed to honouring the continuing connection that First Australians hold to Murrumbidgee's land, waters and community as one of the oldest living cultures in human history. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government and to ensure this meeting is open to the public, this council meeting is being recorded. This recording will be placed on council's website following the meeting. We are all present and we're all present and accounted for. No apologies. We'll move to the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the 26th of November 2024. Somebody like to move, please?
You just on the present, you have G Gilbert instead of HE.
It's not correct.
Oh, it's been corrected? Okay, thank you.
Somebody like to move the minutes, move Councillor Sherky, seconded Councillor Kirkland. Put that recommendation that they be noted. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. I remind all councillors of any pecuniary interest declarations before we move even further. No? Okay. We'll move to the Mayor's report. I will read this so that those watching can listen to what we have to say. As we navigate our way through this really busy time of year, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. However, the flip side is to not have as many efforts and opportunities in our lives. We're very lucky to be engaged and busy. There are many end-of-year activities, celebrations and acknowledgements that mark a very hectic, challenging but overall successful 2024. I would like to make mention of the storm last Saturday in Collinghambley that created significant havoc and very visible damage. We thank the emergency services and Essential Energy, which works diligently to ensure that urgent attention to damaged power lines, electricity supply and damaged houses were attended to as quickly and safely as possible. I'm so very proud of the way the Murrumbidgee Council workforce and the community of Collinghambley mobilised, working immediately and effectively. This was a whole of community response, from the very young and the very able to those who have quietly supported in many different ways. We thank you. Sincere thanks to the Lions Club of Collinghambley, who had their gala night hijacked unceremoniously, but stepped up to the plate and proceeded to feed and water the community who had no power, and the clean-up crews working in hot and humid conditions. Thanks to Collinghambley Irrigation, who made equipment and personnel part of the clean-up workforce. There's always a risk to single out people, but to Justin Williams and Trevor Bright, who led the emergency response, we thank you. The clean-up is ongoing and the visible damage does impact on our amenity, but as small communities do, we will be working hard to recover. Since our November council meeting, I've attended 3 roundtable meetings covering finances, water and digital connectivity. While we have been able to have the people of influence at the table in the water and digital connectivity space, our advocacy is hard slog and will require perseverance. Prior to Council's November workshop, we attended a tour of the new Honestly rice mill in Murrumbidgee. At this stage, they are operational, with the shed nearing completion and the assembly of the mill to follow as soon as possible. The production of nice rice is happening now. It's actually on the shelves. The plans for our community's Australia Day celebrations are well in hand, and we are all looking forward to these special events in our towns. Recognition of our community's achievements is always a pleasure and contributes towards the rich fabric of who we are, where we live, and how we work together for the greater good. I attended the launch of the new Murrumbidgee Trails Visitor Guide in Narrandera. This is an excellent product that not only showcases the 4 councils of Narrandera, Lockhart and Murrumbidgee, but clearly identifies and values our neighbouring councils and the importance of collaboration in this space. I have attended presentation nights and school graduation masses at Murrumbidgee Public School, St Peter's Collinghambley, St Joseph's Murrumbidgee and Collinghambley Central School. Thank you to Councillor Heath and Councillor Bryce for representing Councillor at the Darling Point Public School and the Murrumbidgee Early Learning Centre evenings. These occasions are true celebrations for the students, the teachers and the parents. Congratulations to all involved on a very memorable year. In the company of Councillors Heath, Strawn and Saxby, we attended an Understanding Local Government Finances for Councillors presentation in Griffith. It was a very packed and valuable 6-hour education. It should ensure a level of confidence to ask questions if we're not sure of the information being made available to us. I'd like to thank the Council for their commitment to Murrumbidgee Council during 2024. A particular mention to Councillor Rob Black for his support as the Deputy Mayor. I would like to thank our operational staff led by General Manager John Scarce. You ensure the delivery of our essential services and help make our communities the best they can be. I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a safe and happy New Year, and look forward to working with you all in 2025. And below is a list of 15 meetings I've attended since the 26th of November. Are there any questions? If not, would somebody like to move the mayoral reporting over to Councillor Saxby, seconded Councillor Bryce. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. No delegates reports to date. I'll move to item 1 now. Please, John.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Before I get into my report, I'd like to also echo the comments of Councillor McRae on the teams from Darlington Point and Murrumbidgee that came to Collyambly on that weekend to assist with the Collyambly boys to work alongside the likes of Collie Irrigation, and the feedback that I got back from those that were there, Essential Energy outperformed themselves in the work that they did, getting the electricity back onto the town, particularly to Cypress View and to everywhere in particular. And they worked like Trojan horses, and the guys wanted me to say that thanks to them for getting the town back up and running. I hope there's some normality there now. There's still a bit of clean up around the traps, but that'll happen over time, and hopefully everybody's life can get back. So a big thank you to the Murrumbidgee Council staff that come from all 3 towns to come together to clean up. It's great. Just in my formal report, the Standing Committee on State Development Legislative Council's ability of local government to fund infrastructure and services. Their recommendations, their 17 recommendations, was handed down on all. There's not one of those 17 recommendations that I disagree with. Not all will affect Murrumbidgee Council in themselves, but just somebody that's been working in local government, particularly at the position of General Manager for nearly close to 25 plus years, 30 years in local government. And the changes that were made in 1993 that to bring in accrual accounting didn't really add much value to local government world or to the people that rely on the financial statements, or anybody who doesn't rely on the financial statements. That there's always been a lot of things that always been a strong advocate against imposing some of the Australian accounting standards to local government, particularly because they're written for the profit sector. They're written, depreciation is written for the profit sector, so they can get so they can depreciate it, have it as a tax deduction, so they can buy it again into the future. We don't have tax status. I'm not saying we should have tax status, but at all. But there's no value in all of that, and all it does, in my mind, is create a overcharge to the ratepayers, as we're trying to collect money from them to recover or replace assets that, in effect, we won't replace without a grant. We wouldn't replace without serious consultation. We wouldn't replace for a lot of different reasons, and as we know, we've seen the assets, but in particular, the depreciation on the roads is a high value in our statements, and we do the best that we can with the roads. We make them as safe as we can, and we have people hopefully drive to the conditions so that they're safe as they can be. So a lot of the recommendations that are in there around changing some of the framework of the way things are appreciated. I was fortunate enough to hear the Minister for Local Government at the LGNSW conference, I think it was, speak about the fact that assets that aren't realisable, so all the water pipes in the ground, it's quite hard for us to sell, the roads, hard for us to sell, and everything else like that. There could be a different way to appreciate that. Right? We certainly still need to know, and especially we shouldn't be spending a lot of money on revaluing those assets that mean negligible at the end of the day. It's good to know what the current value is, but we normally do know what the current value is because we're working on those roads. You have to, so the cost that it costs us to do that work, we know what the value is. So there's a lot of things that are coming out of these recommendations if they come to fruition, which would be very good. Acidic said to me the other day that this is probably the third or fourth report, because they've been in New South Wales all their life, that said much the same thing and nothing has ever happened. I think the biggest, the greatest champions that we have now to make sure that these happen is that we've got a Minister for Local Government that seems to be singing from this hymn sheet that the 17 recommendations have got, and we have an Auditor General who is singing exactly the same hymn sheet. So if you've got those two bodies there, then we've got the people to be able to direct to make these changes happen, particularly the Minister for Local Government, because he can do it all within his code. He can change the accounting code, he can do whatever to make all this reflect and actually have some reality there. So I won't go through every recommendation. The Rural Fire Act, they're recommended that the fire service take the assets back. That's what we've been speaking about. They're the ones that have control on it. I just wanted to say the operating expense ratio. In 2023-24, our operating expense ratio is minus 13.89. It's got to be greater than zero. If they remove the depreciation expenses they've got within recommendation 14, our expense ratio would be 22.21, which is positive, right? It's back over that mark. So as always said, that a lot of things are mathematics. That maths is the key to be able to make some of these things work, and they can change them around. In council submission, we put forward different things that we wrote that they have. That they're talking about the grant models that provide for more security and sustainable funding to councils. In our submission, we put forward, why don't they have specific grants that guarantee 50%? As of right, 50%. If we wanted to change our pool, to replace our pool, there's an as of right grant for 50% there. So it's on to us to go find the other 50%. Whether we do that from savings, whether we do that from loan borrowings or whatever, but then we're committed, we know that the other part's there for us to be able to actually get these things done. And there's so many assets, playgrounds, whatever. And I stole that because when I worked in Queensland, they had that for water and sewage. You had an as of right grant of 30%, I think it was. You get the other 70%, 30% was there, and that was enough for us to do our planning, to be able to know that once we get there, we'll be replacing our water treatment plant, we'll be replacing our pipes in the ground or whatever. So if we can come along with some of those things over the next couple of years and get these things in, then that would go a long, long way to the sustainability of council, which I've always firmly believed that this. I'm not going to send council down the path to a special rate variation because we're not funding our depreciation, because it's, in my mind, not something that we should be focusing on. The things that we focus on is our unrestricted cash and what's our cash position and can we pay our bills and everything on time, which we can. And over the years, our unrestricted cash has been positive and growing positive. So that means that we are, in my mind, we're sitting in a strong financial position. We just got to work on the non-cash stuff, being the depreciation, to get a true picture of what our assets are actually reducing in value over time. So that'll be the things that will be great. Point two is the housing replacements. Yeah, settlement was on the 12th of December for 49 Murrumbidgee. Been speaking to the guys that are in 21 Murrumbidgee and should have it vacant by the end of January for us to do a refresh and have it on the market by late February, early March, to be able to do that. One-way street in Powell Street is off to working with Transport for New South Wales on the design, and I just had, with the movements, I had nothing else to do, so I just looked at the crystal ball and went out to November 2025 just to add in all the things that are already sitting in the diary for Councillor McRae and I to attend, to see that some of the things that we've got over the next 12 months or so. Thank you, Councillor McRae. Any questions?
You'll be going on holidays on the 19th of December, 2025.
2025, am I? Oh, yes, Thursday, yeah.
So
For a
that's,
day. Just for the day.
that's a typo, is it?
Just for a day.
Next year, you got that booked in already,
Oh,
2025.
2024. Geez, you can't give good help, can you? Somebody would.
Don't look at Julie.
Does she care? Okay, thank you for your,
Councillor Major.
thank you for that, pointing out that our council back.
Yeah, so yeah, certainly agree with the recommendations that will help our financial sustainability going forward. But what is the process? You talked about that these have been handed to the minister. Has he got a time frame or process or?
Have not heard any of that. What's come out of there? So that's recommended from the committee. So I dare say what Treasury will look at and see how much is this going to cost them. They seem to be the big ones in any policy decision going forth. They always do a financial analysis on absolutely everything. There's not a lot there that will financially impact them, except for the recommendation to look at stop downloading government services onto local government to perform and all of those wonderful sorts of things that are sitting in the recommendations and the grant funds that could be there. It doesn't mean that they have to deliver on them, but it would be nice if we could get a lot of the stuff there that doesn't involve money put in place so we can do that. And but no, the minister hasn't come out. This was only, I think it came out, I wrote this report on the 6th, I think it came out on the 5th. So that was the first chance. I haven't heard anything else come out of the minister.
Yeah.
Therefore,
And so just on the back of that recommendation too, that New South Wales government redesign local government rating systems, including reassessing council-based rates and SEG2. And if we go to the fourth dot point, says examine the use of capital improved value rather than unimproved land value to set the variable component rates. Can you give us an example and how that would impact on council's finances if we could get that implemented?
so one of the best things of working in a jurisdiction with a CIV as opposed to what New South Wales is at the moment. We've got New South Wales where we're capped on our rates, so that's the maximum rates that we can have as capped. So if we're at $100 with a 5% rate cap, we can get $105 in. That's it. So if we had three almond hulling factories turn up in town, and their rates would be, as a capital improvement, say $5 each, right? Under the CIV, we would have we'd have $120, right? But no, we can only have $105 because that's the cap. So that $15 we gets absorbed into that, which means yes, theoretically, all the other rates might go down as we get that, but it doesn't help us with the growth, right?
So total pool, yeah.
So a lot of people are happy, well, are not happy, but they they managed to pay their $2 worth of rates this year. They'll be happy to pay their $2 worth of rates next year. And that's something that we can do. We can actually keep them paying their $2 worth of rates. If we had a CIV and we got that other $15 in to cover the increase in costs. So our total rate base would be 120 and they'd still only be paying $2, right? Whereas it's 120 and they might be paying $1.95. So that's the biggest thing is we can get the CIV on there. We can actually increase our capital. So it's if somebody wants to build a $100,000 house, they pay less than somebody that wants to build a $3 million house. They would pay more in rates.
So would renewables on farmland come under this?
Yeah. So one of the
Where would they sit?
in our submission, I proposed a model that was in another jurisdiction that I worked, which actually we have the same mill rate, so we have the same cents in the dollar, but they discount the valuation. So a valuation on a house might be 100,000, so you only rate 45,000 of it. It was 45%. Farmland, it might be $1,000, but it's only 20%. So you only rate $20,000 on it. Pipelines, $1,000 there was only 10%. So 10. So they could do the same thing with the wind farms and the solar farms and the batteries and everything like that. It's got a huge value. And they may say only use 5% of that capital value as a model, but then you've got that going forth. And then everybody knows around the whole state that you go to Murrumbidgee or you go to Burke or you go to Tamworth, that 5% of your major build wind farm is going to be on the taxes, and that's what the rates is going to be at their mill rate. It's the same mill rate all round, whether you're residential business, farmland or whatever, all paying the same cents in the dollar. It's just discounted through like that. So that was something that we proposed for that. That would get away from those really big, expensive builds. As I said, I think the pipelines and railways were 10% because they were huge values.
Yeah.
We got rates on railway land. It doesn't happen in this country, but it did over there.
Yeah, and it's equitable, but they do contribute.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's all.
Are there any further questions? John? If not, the recommendation will be that the information contained in the general manager's monthly report be noted. And we'd like to move. Move Councillor Turkey, second Councillor Feldman. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 2, please.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. Item 2 is a report seeking council resolution to finally close an unnamed road between Pittman Way, Ringwood Road on Ross Drive, and offer it for sale to the adjoining neighbours. This follows an application to purchase a paper road, look two paper roads a few years ago now. The process has now been completed. Advertising, notification, of the adjoining landowners to government agencies, and the valuations have all been completed. And it's now recommended that council now offer the sale of this closed road to two adjoining landowners, Grasso Farming and Johnson, for $1,250 per hectare plus GST, with the two purchasers responsible for all associated costs, such as survey costs and legal fees. Transgrid during the notification period made a submission to say that they would need some of the land set aside as an easement for some of their infrastructure, so that would also be included on the survey. And in relation to the application, Mr. Johnson, that did come in after the notifications had closed, and she may not have got the letter. We sought legal advice on it, and in course that legal advice, we included him as a potential purchaser as well. Both the details of the road closure and sale have been notified to both parties, and Grasso Farming have accepted it. We're still waiting for a response from Mr. Johnson. If he so chooses, we will offer a small portion of the land which he's currently using for him to purchase. If he sees fit not to continue with it, the entire amount will be offered to Cabasso Farming. And said that they would purchase the entire amount.
I'll move it.
Move councillor Murphy, seconded councillor,
Question.
Question?
hold on, I'll move and second then you can say. Move councillor Murphy, seconded councillor Major. Councillor Black, your question?
My question is, there's a road currently being used for sand and gravel out of there, opposite Jim Cadnack Road, which is near the corn factory. So there's a section being used as a commercial road at the moment by sand and gravel.
That was picked up. Being processed, could you just?
Yeah, no, it's there. They would be accessing that road.
Well, it'd be coming from one of the properties,
Yeah.
I presume, so
Onto which road?
Onto the Kidman.
Onto the.
one of the Kidman, yeah.
Right.
So therefore, if we hand that over, at the moment, I'd say council would maintain that road.
Well, it looks like it.
Yes,
It comes out, yeah, right where that is.
right opposite the sand pit across the other side of the road, Jim Cadnack Road, isn't it, Judy?
Yep.
No, you're right.
That's better.
It's a dirt road, but.
It's a dirt road,
Yeah,
it comes
It's a
on the
dirt
Kidman.
road, but it is used.
That's on road, that's paper road at the moment.
It's fenced both sides and
and it's gravel,
it's gravel.
and you
Yeah.
always see trucks coming at it.
Yeah, I have.
That one.
From there to there, probably from there to there.
He said that.
Okay.
That's actually it is.
It might be the.
It's currently being used by gravel trucks.
Real great.
So not council gravel trucks.
No,
Commercial gravel trucks.
commercial.
Accessing a gravel pit on some,
Whose land?
I don't know the area at all.
That would be
Back in the
Johnson's,
Johnson's, possibly.
or could be Woodlands, could be, I don't know where it's coming from.
No, I think it's probably Johnson's. The other one would be Woodlands. Tabasco.
Anyway, if it's Johnson buys a block of land, I've got no problem. And removes us from liability.
Yep.
But at the moment, it is open to public land,
Yeah.
to public road users.
So do we need to add something to the recommendation?
could, just trying to think, certainly hasn't come up in any of our investigations in the past.
And I've just got one other question. with
Hold
that.
on, wait, we'll just deal with this one first.
No, it is the same on this.
Right,
Where the old sand pit was, there's somebody now that owns that, and he's got
access
he's got access off that level, that
off the highway.
off the highway. Yeah, that's all the only question I was going to ask.
I think that's at the back of Grid's old place.
No, I've seen.
There's a,
I
I knew that
don't know, I don't know the owners, I don't know anything.
I've gone-
All I know is I see gravel trucks coming down that road.
you sure that, from which side,
They come
You're
from
telling
both
me it's
sides.
coming from are they coming from both sides? So is it two gravel pits?
Yeah,
Well, there is a gravel pit in there,
yeah, there is two.
Yeah.
Yeah, one
There's
offset
one
the
on either
factory.
side.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
and that road is definitely fenced both sides.
Can I just, can I recommend that we just lay this on the table, there's no rush? All right, we'll double check all of that, and then we'll bring it back in February.
And that looks like it's council formed road.
If everybody agrees that we lay it on the table and we'll lay it on the table.
So I'll put this to the council, but we lay number 2 on the table for further investigation.
Yep.
Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you.
Happened then.
Item 3, please.
Thank you. Reading them there, item 3 relates to the minutes of the meeting, following the 4th Christmas group held on Wednesday, the 4th December, at which a number of matters were discussed, principally the proposed creation of a new cricket pitch on number 1 ovals. Also discussed the or advised that the, council was in the process of installing individual electricity meters for each set of users. Also passed on the information that the ceiling of the car park short timeline. We also discussed use agreements, and advised that, they were draft user agreements were sent out earlier this year, and, there was, claim that, no one had seen them, so we sent a new ones out, shortly. And, went on to general business for a number of maintenance items were raised, now being discussed with, council's, building services. Carpenter, and, that we addressed, earlier in the year.
Okay,
Or discussed around noting.
Yes,
is there any questions of Gary regarding this report?
no, we'll deal with this later on in February. And I'll move that with notice.
Move councillor Black, second councillor Kirby. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you.
Yeah, more.
Item number 4, please.
Yes, that's right. So they were using it here before coming out there, that's now closed.
Yeah, this is the,
Yeah,
so it says, in the fine.
that's also, I've got no problem, that's why I said. Maybe we shouldn't defer it, maybe we should go back to it. If Johnson buys it, I've got no problem. They don't know who owns that country either side, so. If Johnson owns it,
On something there, yeah, yes,
So,
but I don't think it's the bicycle. It's-
Heading 1.
So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah, so it's.
it'd be great to take it off our books so we don't have to maintain it.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's got bits there.
Sure.
Gonna go back to it, John?
Well, he wants to buy a different spot, so we have to talk to. He's identified a different area to pay, he'd buy, Johnson.
Hmm.
Just on.
So we'll leave it laid on the table.
Because you said if Johnson hasn't got back to you.
Yeah.
And that's the part, but muck of land we're talking about, so you said Tosca to buy the whole lot.
Go back.
Yes.
Go back to the report, council clerk, on page, 10. On that map there, on page 10,
Where the red it is.
Yes.
where the red, that is the land.
Okay.
He did not mention it was the, gravel pit access.
Well, it's green there, that's green, so what that's part what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's green where the gravel pit is, yeah,
Yeah.
which is not what he was buying, no.
What's Topton by?
The balance.
The rest of it, all the other green.
To me, it opens up complications if he wants to get sand out of that sand pit.
Yeah.
Using
Oh,
private,
absolutely, but it could have been probably useful if he notified us of that fact.
because private land, he can't use private land to take his trucks across.
That's right, but I will talk to him.
And perhaps we need something in writing rather than just a verbal
Yes, that's
condition.
right, exactly.
So we might contact him and ask for that prior to our next meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Okay, item number 4, please, John.
Oh, monthly investment reports for November. Any questions?
Is there anything you need to make us aware of?
What's been written in the report?
Good new investments at 5.1%. I think that's pretty.
So John maybe should have gone to Griffith last week to do that course too, so.
Well, yes, everybody's head being done it.
Yeah. Even Benny at 5.25 is pretty exceptional.
And council major is absolutely correct. Great investments, doing a great thing, taking our time to reinvest the money that's coming out, when it goes back in. Yep, making the dollars for council. I can't say.
No, no, that's enough.
But if you look at our benchmark, we're 0.42% above that
Yeah.
for the year, 0.63 for November. So we're doing very, very well.
I think, I think it's a credit to the people working in that
Yep.
space, that they've got us placed as far as we are. Any further comment or questions?
And it's obviously not me working in that space.
I didn't want to say that, John, because it is Christmas. You know, everyone's entitled to think they're doing a good job. Wait till January.
Would somebody like to move, please? Move councillor Major, second councillor Sherburne. And the recommendation will be the council note the monthly investment reports identifying all money council has invested under sections 625 of the Local Government Act 1993. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 5, councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item 5 is report on the development application approved under delegation last council meeting and it's presented to council for notice.
Are there any questions with Gary regarding this report? If not, would somebody like to move, please? Move councillor Saxon, seconded councillor Thorne. The recommendation will be the information contained in the development application approved under delegation, November 2024, report be noted. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. We might move to the items without notice that we have before us. And I'll ask John to speak to that.
We have a recommendation to accept this.
Somebody like to move that we accept this late item? Move councillor Major, seconded councillor Bryce. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, carried. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor McRae. We informed Wadi Housing, Advancement Corporation of our discussions where we offered them lot 6 and 9 Edward Street for the swap of the land is 31 Carrington Street. As council will be aware, they'd identified 47 Helena Parade and 1 Young Street, Darlington Point. They just asked if we could have a reconsider of that recommendation that was put to that decision of council. So I lay it in council's hands to please provide your direction on this land and rationale set for.
Would somebody like to move?
No, the discussion first.
Oh, well, yeah, you're right. Sorry, would somebody, are there any questions or discussion regarding this?
Well, I'd like to make a comment that I believe that we've made a value decision with all the information in front of us last month. And I still believe without any new information, it stands. So I still agree with the recommendation that has been put previously.
Based on the value of the 2 blocks,
Definitely,
for what we're getting.
a factor is based on the value of the blocks. Thank you, councillor Black. Yes.
Yeah. So anybody else like to speak against or for?
So do you propose that recommendation that's
Option
on the
2.
screen of page 2 there, councillor Kirby?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Any discussion on council in relation to the proposed recommendation of the moved by councillor Kirby that's on the screen there? Is there a seconder for that? Councillor Major, councillor Kirby, councillor Major.
George, can you make that bigger? I can't actually do that. Please.
On value of those 2 blocks, they're far exceeding the value of the land that we're swapping.
If we went down the
Commercial.
The value of the stuff on Helena Parade and Young Street, yes, it would be far in excess of the valuation of the block we're swapping. But as it is, it's pretty close to the value.
Slightly more.
Slightly in favour of what I have.
Yes, I agree with that.
All right, any further conversation around this, or I'll put the recommendation, which will be One, reaffirm for what is Housing and Advancement Corporation Limited Council's offer of allotments located within the Young Street subdivision, identified as 6 and 9 Edward Street, Darlington Point. 2, advise Watto Housing and Advancement Corporation Limited, this decision is based on the 2 assigned blocks having our land value closely in equity to the land situated at lot 4 DP 718198 31 Carrington Street, Darlington Point, and proposed for the long day care centre. Therefore, it is considered a more equitable swap. And 3, complete the purchase of lot 4 DP 718198 31 Carrington Street, Darlington Point for Watto Housing and Advancement Corporation Limited for the long day care centre. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year, everybody. Why not say it now?
Yeah.